Real estate investors, beware. The tenant from hell. I'm going to share with you this insane story that one of our regulars on our YouTube channel and locals emailed me, and he said I could use it for the video here. This is freaking nuts, man. And I'm just going to read it to you because it's it's crazy. Oh my goodness. So, man, I love rental real estate. I'm not going to get involved. I'm too lazy for that, frankly. I'm not mechanically inclined. Look, I talk to people all the time. I just talked to these people out in Hawaii the other day. You know, the husband is a con. He can build anything. You know what I'm saying? That's not me. You know what I'm saying? So they got a tenant downstairs, and he can do all that. I can't. And some people have the patience to deal with people. I don't. I'm like, dude, just pay your bills. We're good. You know what I'm saying? But and I've heard many cases where tenants are great. But I've also heard many cases where tenants suck. And then, of course, the CDC put a moratorium. Happened under Trump, by the way. Happened under Trump. It's nuts. But anyway, so let's read this. My man, we'll call him Jim, writes in. He goes, 2 years ago, in the fall of 2021, my wife and I decided I should retire and move. I had just turned 62, had a very good job, but it had become painful to work there any longer. I had a new boss I didn't like. We had transitioned to an ancient clunky database against my pleadings. We had to wear masks due to the virus, and the diversity inclusion stuff was getting disgusting. Additionally, my wife had serious medical issues whereby I was afraid to leave her alone at home alone for times. At that point, she'd become isolated because of problems getting around, mostly living on the upstairs floor of a raised ranch, and wanted badly to move. My wife hired a realtor, Gina, not her true name, to sell our house so we could move. Gina drove us all over our state trying to help us find a house. She finally found an old fixer-upper down in the Midwest that had, and I'm not going to say where, but that had many features we had hoped to have. It was a large above-ground swimming pool, an acre of land, which is 4 times what we had. Most living features on the ground floor of a huge attached garage. A separate insulated garage my wife could use for her ceramics hobby. The house turned out to be much more fixed enough than either of us realized. We had to put in a roof, 2 new AC units. I wired the studio myself. Every room needed painting, still not finished. Also, we had to learn to live with things we never had before. Well water that actually runs dry at times, a septic system, propane heat. Electric and propane are very expensive for us. Back in our old house, Gina said she would really like to buy it for herself and her children. I knew her family would fit right into our neighborhood and be very happy there. So we decided to help them. We signed a 2-year lease with an option to buy. We gave her cheap rent at $100 a month less than what she was paying for in an apartment, and gave her a break on the sales price, which amounted to $300 a month off the final price. Presumably the sale would be simple and less expensive. We didn't have to go any background checks. Thought she was a rich realtor. Big mistake. At Gina's, I'm getting a text here. Let's see what this is. Gina's request, we rushed to get her out of our house. We rushed to get out of our house so she could move in the weekend before school started. During her couple years there, sometimes she paid a little extra in advance, and often she was very late, but eventually made it up. I asked several times how things were going and if she still planned on buying the house. She always said yes, she wanted to buy it. About 6 months before it'd be time for her to buy, she was about 6 weeks behind on rent, and I asked her again if she planned to buy the house. She said yes. She had just landed a new job that paid $20,000 more per year. My wife realized right away with such a job, Gina couldn't finance a new house. I'm not sure why though. Gina checked with her accountant and was told no, she couldn't buy until the following spring of 2024. I guess that's because you need to have stability in your current work, I guess. Apparently she didn't have any money saved or anything for a down payment. It sounds like not. Anyway, so Gina was told no, that she couldn't buy the house until spring of 2024 when she has some stability in work. From our standpoint, though the mortgage was paid on the house, we had an outstanding HELOC in which we were planning to pay off as a requirement of selling the house. This is where things went south. With a HELOC is an ARM, an adjustable rate mortgage. By now, the payment we had been making were going significantly towards interest. However, my biggest concern was the HELOC must be reauthorized every 10 years. Next fall will be that time and will require a 45% debt-to-income ratio to qualify. I'm concerned that we might not qualify being on a fixed income now. I didn't want to be in that position. My wife and I decided we must sell the house as originally planned, but to someone else. We contacted a different realtor, a family friend this time, and from what our new realtor found, she thinks the only house Gina ever sold was to us. She put us in touch with an attorney who had the lease canceled for breach of contract, including erratic payments and other things. At this point, Gina completely ceased making rent payments. We found out that she had changed the locks and we couldn't even get into our own house. Our contract clearly spelled out several conditions, including any major upgrades required our approval. Any major repairs required, we split the cost 50-50. We'd be allowed in for inspections upon a request. If the time came we needed to show the house for sale, we'd be permitted. We'd be permitted access to do so. These are the only clauses I list here because those other major ones she broke. Because those are the major ones she broke. Upon repeated requests from ourselves and our attorney, Gina postponed access to the house by about 2 weeks. It's their house. And she said, you're not getting in. This happened time and again. We were told she was working there. There was a child at home alone who we shouldn't disturb, and there's a mean dog. We couldn't get in to inspect the house and certainly didn't want to try to show it because we didn't know what we'd find. Finally, with winter and a new school season coming, I requested our attorney start the eviction process, suggesting to Gina she relocate her children to be ready for school. Gina was out on about August 7th, a week before the original rent-to-own lease would expire. Once we got in, we found many changes we did not authorize. She replaced a large rec room carpeting with laminate floor. This wasn't too bad, except she didn't run the floor under the toilet in the bathroom and left a big unfilled gap around it. And also ran the laminate in the laundry room, which would be the first place to flood if the sewer ever backs up. She painted the faux brick fireplace black. She painted the opposing faux brick wall black. The whole rec room gray with dark wood paneling. She painted the natural oak staircase black. She painted the nice kitchen island black. She painted the beautiful natural oak china cabinet white. The oak china cabinet glass doors disappeared. The 2 electric air cells, $350 each for the HVAC, disappeared. And single thing she painted got splattered onto anything nearby. Ceiling tile, walls, appliances, windows. I had her paint beautiful trim around the sliding glass door white because she had splattered white paint from the kitchen cabinet onto the dishwasher, the wall, the stain trim, and the sliding glass door. Staircase black paint was splattered onto the side wall and the wall beneath it. In the basement, all the gray paint she put on the walls was slobbered onto the ceiling tile rails that I hand painted myself. Talking with neighbors, Gina's dogs had torn up a neighbor's fence. I'd asked him what happened, and he finally had to go to the police to file a report. Another neighbor said he'd come over several times to complain about her dogs barking, and he's a dog person himself. Gina would put her dogs outside at 6 a.m. and leave them out there all day. The landscaper said she owes him a great deal of money, having kept telling him to come back Friday, at which times she wouldn't open the door. And the dog person neighbor said the neighbor woman directly behind us asked him how long they were going to put up with that situation. Gina had let the nice hedges around the yard grow to about 10 to 12 feet high. I spent a month up there, a 2-hour drive each way, setting things back in order. The beautiful gardens and yard looked like a jungle. I changed several locks as she had put push button locks on the front door, the rec room, a bedroom. Apparently someone had climbed onto the new bathroom vanity drawer, leaned on the door at the same time because all the mounting brackets had to be fixed. The door brackets were duct taped, so when I opened the door, it fell off. To top off this mess, when we went in, we found the washing machine, clothes dryer, microwave had all been removed. This was along with a 52-inch plasma TV we left for her mounted to a wall. But we didn't expect her to take it with her. We filed a police report, but they said Gina claimed the appliance is broken. She had to buy new ones, so they belonged to her. I explained per the contract we were to split the cost and that working appliances were present when she moved in, but now they're gone. They wouldn't arrest her. We finally got the house on the market 2 weeks ago. It sold in 1 day for more than asking. Unfortunately, the prospective buyers got cold feet at the last minute and backed out. Today went back on the market. I probably could have used Gina's true name here as my story is 100% true. I was about physically ill over what I found when we went to our old house. It's been stressful. I'll never rent another living space to anyone. Man, that sucks. My wife was working when she was going to Boston College. She worked for an attorney, a real estate attorney in Boston. And he would have to try to get squatters out for his clients because Massachusetts is very squatter friendly. In some of these liberal states, man, you can't kick these people out to save your life. And this guy lives in a very blue state in the Midwest, which I won't name. But, I mean, it's like Dude, this is the issue. These squatters know more about they have more rights than you do as a landlord. And I'm not saying don't freaking be a landlord. I'm not saying that at all. I got plenty of people that landlords are making bank. It's great. I'm just saying, man, it's once you get a good tenant in there, you're not going to raise the rates that high relative to what the market is because you don't want that tenant to leave. Because having a good tenant is worth its weight in gold. Anyway, I hate to say great story, but it's a cautionary tale of being a real estate investor because you got to deal with people like this. And sadly, the world is very tenant focused, not landlord focused. And everyone says, we need more housing. You're not going to get more housing when you're freaking pro tenant and anti landlord, you fools. You want more housing, you got to make it easier for landlords to freaking evict people and arrest people who are freaking stealing from you. That's how you get more housing. Rent control, pro squatters. I mean, this thing is freaking nuts, dude. That's why New York is such a clown show. You rent control, squatters' rights, the whole thing's insane. Who's going to want to be a friggin' tenant and a landlord in New York? No one is. Because they have limits on their money they can make. They have all the liability, and the squatters have more rights than the tenant. Anyway, just be advised. Be advised. All right, love your thoughts. See ya.